if I try to even properly explain what this moment is like, I would probably not do it justice, but I'll try. I'm standing in a valley, I guess. I'm on the island of Paros still, and I'm on this old road. It's a road that goes through the mountains. A couple of years ago, when I found my way here after a friend had showed me it the year prior, I did an Instagram live because I was so bowled over by the beauty, and like I was just bursting with wanting to share it. And today, my last full day here for this year anyway, I got in the car and just decided I was going to let myself end up wherever I felt compelled to end up. And lo and behold, I found myself coming back to this road. I haven't been on this road. And actually last year, or rather, I haven't been on this road this year. Last year, I tried to find this road and ended up on somebody's private driveway at an incline that was so steep that when I realized that I needed to turn around and the road was barely wide enough for one car, I actually out loud said, "Oh, okay, so this is how it ends." It was dicey. It was a dicey situation. Anyway, I found myself coming back today, and with the good old help of Google Maps, did not end up at that private entrance, despite the fact that Google Maps kept saying to me, take a sharp right. Take a sharp right. Listen, there is one road here. It is stone and dirt, and a sharp right is into the abyss. So I took that advice with a grain of salt. But here I stand now in this valley. I'm surrounded by these hills that are dotted with, vegetation, sparsely dotted, may I say. Lots of rock everywhere. I'm standing in front of some sort of structure that was made, just its walls with no roof. Just a bunch of stones and a little archway on one wall. And inside is just all kinds of, it's like a dump site, I guess, but I mean, it's the most beautiful dump site I've ever seen. I'm not sure if it was intended to be a dump site. I doubt it. But I'm standing here. The wind is not very intense. The clouds are rolling over my head. And I've got the cicadas and the grasshoppers hopping around me, literally jumping around me. I'm being mindful. I was just sitting on rocks, and I'm mindful that that's where the scorpions are here. So basically keeping my eyes open for everything that moves. But with that said, I'm really happy that, I just followed the intuition to follow my intuition, and I ended up here because this is such a special place. Such a special energy here. It's quiet and it's resonant. And I'm looking at Nausa, the little town of Nausa, and the sea beyond it, off in the distance. There, a little bit of wildlife sounds for you. And I can see it. I have no interest in going to Nausa. Just want to be here with the rocks and the energy, the clouds. It's so funny because I really connect to nature here. And I don't connect to nature at all at home. At all. North American nature, I could take it or leave it. With that said, I've been to the Grand Canyon. That was pretty intense. And I've been to the Rockies, and that was pretty intense. But generally speaking, I don't... Listen to that. I don't really connect to nature back home the way I do here. And at home, I do not feel compelled at all to go walking in nature, despite many people, both in the wellness industry and out of the wellness industry, talking about how a walk in nature is great for mindfulness and so on and so forth. I'm walking right now. I'm going to sit down in the car with the windows open just because I want to buffer the wind a little bit. And I'm on the side of the road here, and there's, just like wild I don't know what, there's a plant here, I don't know what it is. It's like very, very spiky with a yellow center, straw colored, but probably because it's the end of the season and there hasn't been any rain or not a lot of rain. But I'm looking down at the ground, and in rock and rubble are these green, I guess, succulents. They're just absolutely gorgeous, and it's just a miracle that they can even survive. And there's actually moisture on the leaves that I'm seeing. There's, oregano bushes and thyme bushes. The smell here is just unbelievable. It really is. Here, I'm going to get into the car just to buffer the wind. But all this to say that there's something about this place. There's something about this place that it just keeps pulling me back. And the longer I stay here, the more it feels like home. And it's a harsh home in many ways. This is not, the sun is intense, the wind is intense, the sea air, the salt in the sea air is intense. The environment is not forgiving, and you need to know when and how to interact with it. But wow, this is just the most special place. And for all of you who have been here with or without me throughout the years, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not sure how many of you have ever come here. I've never actually brought anybody here to this road in the middle of the mountains. I'm not sure why. Probably because it's a little bit, it is literally off the beaten track, number one, but number two, it's a little bit remote, and I wouldn't want people to feel anxiety about me bringing them here. But yeah, this is my last day here, last full day here. I leave for Athens tomorrow, and then next day, onward journey back to Canada. And what I'm taking with me this time, number one, is the sites that I'm looking at right now, which is just brutal in its rawness, but brutal in its gorgeousness, in its beauty. It's just the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life, truly. I'm staring at like a grove of olive trees, a dirt road, cliff walls, bushes. Who would have thought? But what I'm taking with me is what I'm looking at right now. What I'm taking with me is the light that exists here. And I mean that like when just the light. There's just so much sky here, and there's so much light. Even as the days get shorter and sunrise and sunset get closer to each other, there's so much light here, and I'm just so used to everything being so monochrome at home. Especially in the winter, like everything just being shades of steel, shades of gray, So yeah, I'm bringing all of this. But really what I'm bringing is this experience of having been here for longer than ever, and everything that has taught me. This has really been an adventure. This has been a couple of months just of pure adventures, just pure newness, just everything being new. Even if I was here giving trips, for the second trip, I was doing that trip in a different way than I've ever done before, in a much more intuitive way. And it seems to have gone over incredibly. I'm just really grateful that this place once again gives me the energy and the space, and I have made the time to learn. Really, it's almost like every time I come here, I'm showing up for another semester in, the school of life. That's really what it is. The one thing that I'm really conscious of here is that time seems to be different. Time bends here. I don't really know how to put it, except everything is just a little bit more simple, just in the way one lives. And I guess consequently, there's just an ease to the pace of life here. And of course, I don't live here 24/7, 12 months a year. I don't run around here like I do at home. But I think there's a lesson here, not just for me, but for everybody, especially those of you who were here on either of the 2 trips or on any of the trips before, or if you've just come here on vacation. But that is to slow down. I recognize that life can take a really frenetic pace. And we are adaptable creatures. We get used to whatever. And so I think that we are used to a very unhealthy pace, unhealthy rhythm. We are in the normalized pattern of doing. And something about this place just reminds me that I can come out to the middle of nowhere, where it almost is like I've landed on the moon, and be reminded that there is this stillness. And I do believe that, what we identify outside of these bodies that we inhabit is just a reflection of what we are, of what we already have access to within these bodies. I think that the beauty that people have found here and that I find here is just a reflection of the beauty that we embody, but that we are not encouraged to recognize. And I believe that when I come out here to this ravine, it's so hot right now, my God, the sun is just baking, but when I come out here to this ravine, there's a stillness here. I mean, it cannot get more still than layers of rock around me. And yet there's this wind. There is movement in the stillness. And so it's a reminder that the stillness that I'm recognizing without it does exist within if I just choose to focus on it and prioritize it. And I think that there is something about stillness that either really attracts people or really freaks people out, really disturbs people. I remember making the decision to go into this career years and years and years ago. I remember making the decision because I recognized that it was really easy for me to go into a room and sit and be still. And there was a part of my mind that was saying to me, that is unusual. In today's world and, in today's society, that is unusual. And if you can do that, you should help people do that. I think that people, generally speaking, want to find some form of stillness unless there is something they don't want to look at. And what we see with stillness is that once one becomes still, all the stuff that is as yet unprocessed and undealt with pops up. Case in point, the holidays being a very tumultuous time of the year for many people because it's when everybody is forced, or most people anyway, are forced to stop. You get time off of work, you get time off of the routine, you get time off of the daily organized activities. And so what happens when all of a sudden that routine gets broken? Well, look at the pandemic. Look what happened. People were forced to face. And because not a lot of people had resources to deal with what they faced, we're seeing a lot of chaos in the world right now. So I think that people either really, really crave stillness or really fear it. But what I would say is that if you fear stillness, then that means that there is a huge opportunity for healing. Don't fear. Embrace and move towards it and notice what you find. And, listen, what you come up with, find a really good coach, find a really good therapist, find someone who you can speak to about it so they can help you contextualize and dissect and understand, because, we think that we can understand it all and make sense of it all. And the fact of the matter is, these minds of ours, generally speaking, are not our friends. And so the conclusions that we come to are usually not very helpful. Mindfulness very much is about deprogramming initial response. And so, there is an opportunity for healing. With all that said, I'm just so in awe of the simplicity and the beauty of this place, and I'm taking all of this stuff back home with me. This call to stillness. I really don't want to get back into freneticness. And I do recognize that a part of me believes that I'm taking this with me, but another part recognizes that it was always there it was always there the whole time. I just now can recognize it, and I can direct my mind to it. And I hope that you can too. And I hope that if you've been here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because when you think about this place, there's like images that are almost like assaulting, these images of beauty and connection and calm and peace. You know, something that almost everybody says when they come on these trips I give here is that it's so refreshing to simply be able to be themselves. They don't have to edit. They don't have to put on a certain mask. They don't have to curate what they say or what they do to an audience of strangers. They just show up. And that's what happens when people come here on this, at least on my trips, is there's a shared intention. And I think, as I've mentioned before, shared intention is the thing that brings people together regardless of their demographics and regardless of all the stuff that typically divides. People who ordinarily would never say a word to each other, when they come on my trips, they get to know each other and they connect and they bond. And that bond exists. As they move onwards on their journeys, that bond remains. Shared journey is that thing that separates people who come on trips of mine, for instance, versus people who go to a sporting event where there are opposing teams and fights break out and violence and chaos. There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of opinion. There's a lot of pursuit of justice. And how I'm sitting with all of that is just recognizing that the people who are really fighting are not only fighting for justice without, they're fighting for justice within. We want what we want, not necessarily to only see it out in the world, but that so that we can feel it. And we have been led to believe that we will feel something when the external environment provides it. And I think that that is irresponsible. I think that it needs to come from within before we can see it without. I think it is every one of our responsibilities to make what we seek happen within us, and then do the work from that place, which is typically more of a place of wisdom and response as opposed to reaction and emotion. Then we can go out into the world and be the change, so to speak. But before we can be the change, we got to be the change. Be the change. Do that work, the mindfulness work. Listen, I just want to thank you all for having accompanied me through these past couple of months, whether you were here, whether you interacted with me, and by the way, so many of you interacted with me for my birthday. Hundreds of you. I can't even believe that. And I'm very, very grateful. So thank you. And I hope that I got back to every single one of you, but if I didn't, if for some reason your message slipped through the cracks, I do apologize. I read every single one of them. I tried to respond to every single one of them, and I appreciate every single one of them so much. But thank you for accompanying. Thank you for listening, and thank you for reading, and thank you for your presence, whether that was here on the island or whether that was from wherever your body and energy was, and wherever it is now. I'm taking all this with me. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to let it, bleed into everything I do, and hopefully that will continue to be of service. So from this land of beauty, from this land of raw, primal beauty, I'll say, so long for now. And as the German dude who biked by here said about a half hour ago, get on the bus, Gus. I'm getting in my bus. I'm going to continue to drive. And yeah, Just thank you for everything. Just a quick note. Again, I just want to keep promoting this. If you would like to be in Toronto on Sunday, November 19th, or if you will be in Toronto on Sunday, November 19th, please come out to Beaches Hot Yoga. This is a yoga studio in the beaches. I'm going to be doing a free fundraising class. So what I mean by that is, and let me be really clear, because I have a real issue when there are community classes and then there's a suggested donation. It's like, just give the fucking price. Okay, just tell people what the price is. With that said, what I am doing is I am raising funds for an organization called Feed It Forward, which is operated in part by Chef Jagger Gordon in Toronto, an incredible organization with many initiatives, all designed to reduce food waste, to feed those in need, whether they be in the Ukraine or whether they be the unhoused population in Canada or elsewhere. But I want to raise money for this guy. So the class itself is free. I would really, really be so grateful if you could donate whatever money you could, whether it's $1 or more, to Feed It Forward at their website, feeditforward.ca. The donate button is on the welcome page. Or come to the class Sunday, November 19th, 4:30 p.m. at Beaches Hot Yoga. Bring your money. I believe that Chef Jagger Gordon will be there so he can receive your money. But I really would like to use, whatever influence I have to help this guy and help this organization, because I really have tremendous admiration for him and for what they do. On a separate note, February, we are going to Costa Rica, the Osa Peninsula. I am so excited. We still have rooms available. If this is something that interests you, please visit my website, brandlevinson.com. Go to the Wellness Retreats page and check it out. Or reach out to me however you typically reach out to me. All right, listen, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, evening, night, wherever you are, whatever time of the day it is. And trust that as I sign off here, I'm staring at the most beautiful place in the world. Take it easy, everybody. This has been the Examine Life with Brand Levinson.